Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Hardway. Finally decided to make another video here, and this time I'm not in my car, so there's not going to be any weird background noise for once. I just decided to record this thing in my house. But the reason I decided to finally make another video is like it's time to talk about Halo Infinite. With this hashtag Fire343 starting to trend and everything. You know, I never made a video about Infinite back when it came out, and I didn't make a video about Infinite when Season 2 dropped, and for me it was just a motivation thing. The game didn't capture my interest, and everything that I wanted to say about the game, by the time I organized my thoughts on it, everything had already been said by other bigger content creators, and I didn't feel like I could add anything to the conversation, but now I feel like I can. The lack of content, the desync, the challenge system, the bad rank system, that all just, it contributed to a lack of interest in the game and a lack of interest in making a video on it. But yeah, things seem to be different now. The climate of Halo fandom seems to be changing. I feel like the majority is ready for change now. Or for the longest time, I always felt like I was in the minority. You know, if you look at the population of the games, maybe I wasn't in the minority, but the people that left, they weren't sticking around to talk about the game. They were just gone. And so the conversation was current players versus dissatisfied players that are still sticking around to talk about it. So of course I was in the minority. Doesn't seem to be the case anymore. But going back to why I lost interest in the game, I guess I have some makeup work to talk about here. So, I mean, of course I started playing the game right when it came out, and right off the bat, the lack of progression and service record and like just things to work towards and things to do in the game was really off-putting for me. I am a player that needs to have goals to play for, and with Halo Infinite, the only thing to play for being the Battle Pass, that was just profoundly unsatisfying for me, because it wasn't even about winning or losing. Like, it's the only thing I had to play for was the fucking challenge system. Like, oh, I hope I get enough pulse carbine kills this game. Like, I mean, what is that? That's the only thing you have to play for? That and ranked was broken, like ridiculously broken, and it still is. So it's just, I mean, the only reason you had to play was just the gameplay itself. And yeah, I do enjoy the gameplay of Infinite. I think it's a really good foundation for a Halo game. I think it's what Halo 4 should have been. It's what we should have been playing for the last decade. But the lack of features, just the lack of content, and the bugs, it's all inexcusable. And that's what I want to talk about. Another reason that it was hard for me to stick with the game, and I don't hear this talk about much, so maybe it's just me, but it's a few of my friends too, is just the aiming always felt really funky to me in this game and just inconsistent, and I felt like I had to play with the settings way too much. Like, it felt like Halo 5 all over again, where just like your sticky aim would just turn off out of nowhere. Looking around felt weird. Like, I had to play with the settings so much. And I'm just like sharing my aim settings with my friends. Like, oh, try this. Maybe it won't feel like dog shit. And like, that was really off-putting at first. And so you got that. You got the shitty weekly rewards to play for, which are just like, oh, here's a backdrop that you probably won't even use. And it's the only thing to keep you playing for that week. And another reason I stopped is like the friends I was playing with, people I've known since high school and friends of their friends and whatnot. They never really played Halo as much as I did, and they didn't get into it as much as I did. They weren't like students of the game back then like I was, and so we're just kind of like on different playing fields. And the skill-based matchmaking in this game is inescapable. It happens fast too. Like, it catches up to you real quick, like 4 or 5 games, and it's pretty much got you dialed in. And so it didn't take long for every single game we played to feel like a tournament game, which is frustrating when you're playing with fairly casual players. It wasn't a pleasant experience every time. Every time I walked away from my Xbox, just thinking like that sucked. I got more frustrated than I was willing to get, and it was just unsatisfying every time. Every time. AR starts outside of ranked everywhere, and even in BTB, which is just think is ridiculous. Playing big team battle and having to scavenge for a fucking battle rifle so you can contest at mid range. Like, I don't know who thought the sidekick was adequate for the average engagement distance in big team battle, but it is not. And I don't want to wait at a fucking weapon rack every time I spawn to be able to have a chance on the map. That's just stupid to me. I didn't like the 12v12. I didn't like the size of the maps. I didn't like the vehicle balance. So it's just like there was no like fun way for me to play the game. Like even ranked, even if I played solo or with a duo that I trusted, who I was like similar skill with, the rank itself was busted, and that's well documented. So no matter where I looked, like it was very hard for me to have fun with a game that I actually enjoy the gameplay of, which is just weird to me. I've never experienced that before. And then even in campaign, you look over in campaign, like I didn't want to even grind for the achievements or anything. Like there's no mission replay. I am not gonna start over a whole new playthrough just to follow a collectible guide and just pray to God I don't accidentally miss one and have to replay the whole fucking campaign over again. Like, no, that's stupid. Put mission replay in the game. It's been there since the beginning. It's so dumb that it's not. It's not there. After, where are we at now? 9-10 months after release, and you can't even replay a fucking mission in a Halo game? Like, get your shit together. It's so frustrating to me. And so, right around the beginning of Season 2, when I saw that they were allocating resources to this last Spartan standing bullshit, and it took them that long, and they only added one arena map and one BTB map, and then the mode they added encourages you to not play with your friends. Like, oh, all my challenges are for last Spartan standing. Okay, I guess I'll see you guys later. I'm gonna go do this. Like, that's, or I could pay for challenge swaps. Like, fuck that. Fuck that forever. I will never spend a dime on that. I mean, the game was just unworthy of my time, and I got so fed up with it. And I didn't have it in me to address it on this channel. When by the time I was ready to say something, everything had already been said. But here's why I want to talk about it now. The great tragedy of Infinite is that I always intended to come back to the game because I like the gameplay. I've just been biding my time for Season 3, and then that roadmap came out. And that was just a backbreaker for me. Seeing that timeline of Forge is still going to be in beta over a year after the game comes out, of fucking Match XP beta. I can't think of a more pathetic string of words for a developer to put on a roadmap than Match XP beta. Like, the fact that it's not in the game at launch is ridiculous enough. But here we are almost a year after the game has come out, and you're beta testing adding XP after a fucking game. That is pathetic. There's no other fucking way to describe it. It's pathetic. And just like the content drip of maps, everything is just inexcusable. One of the things I personally care most about, a progression system, nowhere in sight. Because Match XP, that's for the battle pass. Because up to this point, they've just had a workaround where it was just a refreshing challenge, like a challenge that refreshes after every game. So, we're going to beta test something to replace something that already functionally works. Like, dude, just get the fuck out of here. And you're going to put that on a roadmap like it's some kind of feature taking up space on a graphic. Like, you should be embarrassed to even say that out loud. And then meanwhile, like, custom games, there's still like shit options for custom games. They don't function very well. There's no custom browser. The theater works like shit. There's no campaign split screen. Like, you're not retaining casuals at all, which is evident when you look at the population. 5,000 people a day for a Halo game that we waited 6 years for and is less than a year old. Get this company out of here. Like, that is not acceptable. So this Fire 343 movement resonates with me because I've just been, I'm just fed up, man. Infinite was Infinite was something that I had been waiting for. It seemed like it was finally going to be the game. Like they were finally going to get it right. We had all this time waiting for it, and all the art style change and the open world Halo. It seemed like this is finally going to be the time. You know, the equipment looks fun. The gameplay trailer looked awesome. It's like you guys finally figured it out. You know, you're not making Call of Duty in space anymore. You're not making a advanced movement bullshit shooter. They finally seemed like they figured out what Halo gameplay is supposed to be. And to their credit, they did a pretty good job with it. It's just everything else around the gameplay is you just absolutely shit the bed in every fucking way. In a way where when you look around the industry, no other fucking developer's doing it like that. Like, if I'm wrong, if there is a good example, please kindly point me towards it, and I'd be happy to eat those words. But I can't think of it when I look around and I see other games made in the same time frame where a developer with as many resources as 343 has is just utterly shitting the bed as hard as 343 had. It's not acceptable. And so I see now that by the time they give us the right product, there will be no one left to play it. Like I have just been biding my time, like, you know, and that's been my thing. Like if you've watched my other videos, that's been my thing with 343, as opposed to Bungie. Is like, yeah, Bungie could put out an awesome game with all the features, all the innovative features that everybody would copy for years and years afterwards. Great campaign, great everything. But I didn't like the way their gameplay mechanics were evolving over time. I thought their gameplay was getting worse with each series. Whereas you look at 343, and I feel like their gameplay is getting better with each series. But they can't put out a complete fucking game. And it's not okay. So, like, even if you nail the gameplay, which I feel like Infinite more or less did, no one's there to play it. Because you have a fraction of a game that you're releasing. And then after a fucking year, you still can't complete it. Like, what the fuck are we doing here? I don't understand how anybody even defends it anymore. That Season 3 roadmap that was all I needed to see. It's like, so you guys aren't even fucking close to finishing this thing. Infinite has taught me that improved gameplay will never be enough to restore Halo's cultural relevance. And Halo's definitely had cultural relevance for the original trilogy. I know there's a lot of new fans that didn't live through 2004, 2005, 2006 to just remember how everywhere Halo was during that time. And in Halo 3, it was the same deal. Yeah, you ask anybody, Halo had a pretty positive reception to it. You know, everybody had an opinion on it, even if they didn't like it. Everybody acknowledged Halo. Now, if you tell somebody you play Halo, they almost laugh at you. Like, really? Still? People still play Halo? 343 did that. They made it irrelevant because they can't fucking release a complete game at launch. At launch. The launch window is so crucial to public perception. Because even if the game's eventually fixed, you'll never have the buzz that you have at launch. They just wasted it. They squandered it. Instead of just delaying the game. Like, looking at it now with hindsight, just delay it. Delay it until it's fucking ready. We already waited 6 years. So now we're going to wait 6 years for a game that's going to just flame out in 6 months. Unacceptable. So the Fire 343 movement, at least to me, it's not about firing hundreds of employees that are trying their best. Maybe some people are after that. I'm not. I feel like the majority of the people that support it are not. To me, it's about long overdue accountability for the leaders responsible for the collapse of this franchise. They've had 10 years, man. They've had 10 years, 3 mainline games in one collection, so 4 games total. All of them have been disappointing. All of them have lost their population fucking fast. And it's not okay, man. It's not okay. And it's not just the unreasonably slow timetable. It's the inexcusable starting point every game. Because leadership doesn't understand what Halo fans want. You look at Halo 4, they were trying to rip off Call of Duty with the loadouts and the perks and everything, and the random weapon spawns. Like Halo 4 at launch could not paint a more clear picture that this company doesn't fucking understand Halo. But they recovered from that and they gradually get better. And then Halo 5, it's like, no, we still don't get it. Here's all this advanced movement. Here's 7 fucking abilities that you spawn with that you shouldn't spawn with. And every map has to be designed around it. And then after that, they still didn't fucking learn their lesson because they wasted years, literal years of development time for Halo Infinite trying to make it into a hero shooter to chase more trends because this company doesn't realize that they have been sitting on a gold mine, this entity, this formula that had never failed up until people started fucking with it. And instead of just going back to what worked, they're going to look around the industry at all these people that have taken their spot at the top and try to emulate them instead of just going back to what worked. Which, by the way, no one else is doing. No one else is doing Halo formula. No one. That niche is just vacant. And so now, like, even if the game is eventually fixed and its content complete, no one's going to care. It's way too late. It's way too late for that. When you look at 343, like, I don't know who is fighting for what side within 343. Like, I don't know who wanted a hero shooter or all these, or even like gameplay mechanics, that the stupid ass gameplay mechanics that they wanted, like no D-scope back in the day or flag juggling and shit that they were fucking with. Like, I don't know who's fighting for what within 343, but someone important is making horrendous decisions that are leading to just an exodus of key positions. Like, if you've been keeping track of that company, like multiplayer lead designers and just a lot of important people are leaving that company at a kind of a crucial time. And so they're always just trying to scramble and fill these very crucial positions. And I just think it's high level management making terrible fucking calls. So you have all this internal strife between like the pro team and highly influential people wanting the gameplay to go a certain way. And then they have to argue about it. And the result was years of lost time in Halo Infinite's case. But at least we don't have a stupid ass hero shooter. I mean, even the Halo TV series, when you look at that, it's like, what the fuck were you guys thinking, man? Like did you even play the first 3 games? Like, do you even understand why people like Halo? Because it's kind of hard to believe you did and then watch that series. I don't want 343 as a studio to just vanish. I just don't want them to make Halo anymore as they're currently constructed. They need to publicly gut upper management that has been around since 2012 and been at the helm since the start of the downfall. Like, fans need to know that the studio is different now. Just rebrand the whole thing. The downside is that this may not fix the issue. The wrong people might be fired or retained, but I mean, we need to know that the problem is being addressed. We don't necessarily need to suddenly unemploy hundreds of people, but Jesus, there needs to be some fucking accountability because this is not okay. Either that or blow up the studio and give Halo to one of Microsoft's many incredible studios that they now own. And that's not ideal because so many people would lose their job. And also, there's no guarantee that the next studio will get Halo. Like, it took a long time for 343 to figure it out as far as gameplay is concerned with Infinite. But we had to go through Halo 4 and Halo 5. And I really, really don't want to start that process over with a new studio. Like, look at Doom's multiplayer, for example, Doom 2016. Like, that could have been a ridiculously good arena shooter. But the people making it, and it was still pretty fun, but it had all this, it was like this beautiful ice cream sundae with a big fucking turd laying on top of it. Because, like, you look at the loadouts and the perks and everything, it's just like it ruined what the demons, like, if the demon was like it spawned in the same spot at set times and whatever, like it could have worked. Everything could have worked. Weapons on the map could have worked, but they fucking ruined it. And I don't want somebody to acquire Halo and do it like they did the Doom multiplayer. And don't fucking get me started on Doom Eternal and that 2-on-1 handicap match multiplayer or whatever that shit was even. I don't even remember what it was called. It was so terrible. I was so angry that they got rid of Doom's Arena multiplayer entirely, that I refused to play it a single time. I'm still upset about it because that could have been so good. And so yeah, I look at the prospect of another studio making Halo, and it's like, well, that could be Doom all over again, and that terrifies me. I really don't want to start over. It took us so long to get the gameplay that we have in Infinite. So I think the solution is just to finish Infinite as long as it takes, as long because God knows it's not going to be quick, but not to make another Halo game for a long time after Infinite is finished. 343 owes it to their fans to finish their damn game. Infinite has the potential to be amazing once it's complete. But after that, the series needs to take a long rest and probably be rebooted if it ever makes another game. Look at the clusterfuck in the storyline continuity since Halo 4. Like, that ship is totally rudderless. The Didact, the Librarian, Cortana, Atriox, the Endless, the Harbinger. It's just a mess. Like, who can keep up with that? Ever since Halo 4, the story is... If you only play the games, if you're not out there reading books, if you only play the games, there is like no continuity between Halo 4, 5, and Infinite. It's like, what is this shit? It's like it just starts fresh every game. So at this point, a reboot, might as well do it again and at least lay the foundation going forward. I just feel like, as far as the story is concerned, it is A-okay to scrap the shit that they have going on right now. Just put it out of its misery and start over after a nice long break and give people a chance to miss it. Like, you can't miss Halo if it never goes away. That's kind of what we had with Infinite. People missed Halo, and then they came out and they just utterly shit the bed. And so now it needs another long break so people have a chance to get the taste out of their mouth and build some hype through its absence. But, I mean, regarding the rest of Infinite, the game does have a chance at a resurgence. Like, Forge looks like it's going to be a total game changer. Once videos start circulating around the internet of what Forge is capable of, it will turn heads. I'm confident of that. It has the potential to transform the game if it's supported by other features, like a custom browser, file browser, better custom game options, and timely inclusion into matchmaking. Like, these amazing maps that people are going to make, it's so easy to imagine 343 taking forever to get them into quick play and into ranked. And I mean, can't you picture that? Can't you picture like just well-known Forge maps within the community, and then months and months going by before 343 finally gets off their ass and puts them into matchmaking? That's so easy for me to imagine. So they need to change the way they do things so drastically in order to not waste the potential that Forge has. Forge is going to be incredible, but it needs a lot of stuff around it in order for it to matter. And as unreasonably long as all that is going to take, if they can put all the pieces together, I mean, Infinite could be a long-term destination game, but it's just, right now it just feels so far away and so unlikely. I mean, but even if they can, like, let's say, a year and a half, 2 years from now, the game is thriving because of Forge and they finally added everything that they need to add. Even if they can do that, there still needs to be repercussions for this 10-year decline in this franchise. Like, that Season 3 roadmap was the last straw for me. Whether it be now or after the game is finally complete, the people responsible for this franchise's direction need to go before another Halo game is made. Without accountability, I can't get behind this company anymore. I have watched my favorite franchise slip into complete obscurity over the course of 10 years. And the one last gasp, the one thing I've been saving up all my optimism for, Infinite, was one of the biggest letdowns I've ever had in gaming, rivaled only by another 343 game, Master Chief Collection. That's the only other gaming letdown that even comes close, and it's the same fucking company. I don't know how you can look at their track record and want to keep these people in charge. And it's not the devs. I'm not talking about the ground level employees. And I know that's like this easy straw man rebuttal to the Fire 343 thing. That's not what we mean, man. I'm not trying to get hundreds of people fired that are honestly doing a pretty good job. Like the artists, the people handling the gameplay. They've done a good job. They've really turned the direction around that Halo had been in. When you compare Infinite's gameplay to Halo 4 at launch, you know, a lot of things have gotten better. But my God, the overall product that they are putting out is so hollow, and there needs to be consequences for it. I don't want to be that guy. I don't like being that guy, but it's just so blatantly obvious to me at this point. And they've had a second chance, they've had a third chance, and they've had a fourth chance, and they are just pissing it away. And their fourth chance, Infinite, is, after looking at that roadmap, is going to be a year after release for a game that took 6 years to come out, and it's still not going to be feature complete. No. Time's up. You're done.